Unlimited Hydroplane Heat 4A, sponsored by the El Pueblo Market for Tri-City Water Follies. And here who is lined up and at least drawn into Heat 4A, Chip, the U1 Miss Home Street and Jimmy Shane.
U3, Griggs presents Miss Ace Hardware, the piston-powered, Allison-powered boat with Jimmy King at the pilot.
U12, Graham Trucking. J. Michael Kelly has seen a lot of Jimmy Shane. Jimmy's seen a lot of J. Michael this weekend so far.
They can't seem to get rid of each other. The U440, Bucket List Racing, Mac, Truck Repair and Towing, Martin Nelson and Company with Dustin Eccles. It's got a smaller turbine than the rest, and poor Dustin can't keep the thing going straight. He's spun it out a number of times.
Yeah, I think he's done for the weekend, actually.
Okay, so we've already seen some games going on for the inside. Jimmy King just stole it away from Jimmy in the home street boat, and it looks like right now J. Michael Kelly's going to be in the third lane.
On the outside, but we still have a minute and 42 seconds to go. We'll see if there's any course cutting as they come down to the Blue Bridge turn. They'll get to a point, Chip, where they cannot go through to the backstretch because that's where we have the patrol boats and the rescue boats.
Yeah, we call that the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, and I can't believe how aggressive everybody is in these preliminary heats. They really want that inside lane.
Looking at Jimmy Shane coming through the Blue Bridge turn with a minute and 13 seconds left to go. And like J. Michael Kelly's going to come through. Yeah, he's leapfrogging. He leapfrog everybody.
So what that means by leapfrogging, if he can get out in front of those guys by 5 boat lengths, he can cut across, which is what he's done to take the inside lane.
And Jimmy Shane and Jimmy King I thought maybe they were going to try to do that. I thought Jimmy King was going to try to do that, but now it appears that Jimmy King will be in lane number 2, and Shane will be in lane number 3. So this will be a little interesting
here's the problem.
Arrangement.
Here's what happened. So J. Michael Kelly leapfrogged, which means he had to speed up to get in front of them. But now he's kind of early. He's got about 4 seconds he needs to get rid of. And, J. Michael Kelly's had a rough weekend this weekend as a driver. He's usually unbelievable, but I find him struggling. He's very early for the start, and that's not like J. Michael Kelly.
Yeah, he's got to slow way down. On the other hand, Jimmy King is going to come with a ton of speed at 10 seconds, and out on the outside is going to be Jimmy Shane, so we'll see 5 still, and Kelly is still early. We'll see. I think we're going to be reviewing that start, Chip.
I think Jimmy King jumped. Of course, we have a bad angle. Or not Jimmy King, I'm sorry. I think J. Michael Kelly jumped. J. Michael Kelly has just seemed not himself this weekend. He's made a lot of mistakes that just don't seem like him. And
the start is under review. Heard somebody yell, but it's everybody for themselves out here on the backstretch. It is Jimmy King and J. Michael Kelly, and King has the lead by about a boat length as they're halfway up the backstretch on lap number 1.
And if I were a betting man, I would guess that Graham Trucking boat with J. Michael Kelly at the helm jumped the gun. So this could all be for naught. We will let you know as soon as we know.
And as they turn through the west turn, first time around of 4 laps here in our preliminary heats, Heat 4A, side by side, Jimmy King on the outside, and on the inside is J. Michael Kelly, and then it's Jimmy Shane in the Miss Home Street. At the end of lap number 1, Jimmy Shane in third, trailing surprisingly, but he's way on the outside. It's King and Kelly as they head down to the Blue Bridge turn on lap number 2.
But look at the performance of that U3 in lane 2 with a piston engine from the 1930s. He's giving the turbines all they can handle.
Coming off the turn first, it's J. Michael Kelly, but the review still underway for the start because it looked like very, very close to a jumping gun. It'll be Jimmy King in second as they head up the backstretch, and trailing is Jimmy Shane in the home street bank, but he is closing in on both Jimmy Shane and J. Michael Kelly.
The big surprise here for me is that J. Michael Kelly would make such an error as he did at the start. The other surprise for me is that piston-powered U3 could be holding off the home street bank and giving the Graham Trucking all that they can handle. And thirdly, that Jimmy can't run him down in lane 3.
Jimmy King took him wide as they came off the west turn, the end of lap number 2. And we're watching Jimmy as he heads down to the Blue Bridge turn just about half a rooster tail behind J. Michael Kelly, and then it's back again a full rooster tail to Jimmy Shane through the Blue Bridge turn. J. Michael Kelly continues to hold the lead. Now Shane has dropped back quite a ways.
I think what we have learned and all the drivers have learned is that you've got to be inside. That all of these boats are so competitive, you cannot let anybody inside of you. So that means it's going to be a brutal fight for the inside lane in the final.
Up the backstretch they go. One rooster tail separating J. Michael Kelly and Jimmy King. Big skid fin rooster tail for both of them as they cruise through the west turn. And Jimmy Shane has moved inside. He's moved into the inside lane, so he is now in between Kelly and King. And we'll see if they make up any ground on Jimmy King at the end of lap 3. A full rooster tail lead for J. Michael Kelly. Jimmy King in second. And here comes the home street. And he is going to try to reel in Jimmy King.
It looked to me from where I stood that everybody got the white flag, which tells me that nobody jumped. But frankly, I find that hard to believe.
Well, they're still under review, perhaps, and we'll just call it as we see it on the river. Jimmy King is still in second place. J. Michael Kelly with a full rooster tail plus lead now. It's pretty well spread out. Jimmy Shane coming up the backstretch, but there's your leader. J. Michael Kelly in the U12 Graham Trucking. Jimmy King trying to run him down, but he may not have the opportunity to do that. Through the west turn one more time. J. Michael Kelly right along the buoy line. Very tight turn.
I think that J. Michael Kelly in the Graham Trucking is going to get the white flag, which means he's got another lap to go.
Let's see.
Yes, so he did jump
Jimmy
the gun.
King gets the checkered flag. Across the Corwin Ford of Tri-Cities finish line, Jimmy King will win Heat 4A. And
boy, J. Michael Kelly is one of the most naturally gifted race drivers I have ever seen, and he's having one of the worst weekends I've ever seen. He's been late. He's just been struggling. It's like a pitcher. Sometimes you just get out of rhythm, and J. Michael Kelly right now looks like a driver who's out of rhythm. That doesn't mean that he's not going to gather it all up for the final. I think he'll be in the final, but this is not the kind of driver I've come to know J. Michael Kelly to be.
Wonder how much the changes in the boat that they made. They made a huge number of changes, almost rebuilt this boat entirely. And this is the first time they've had a chance to run it this weekend. I'm wondering if he's still kind of feeling out how the boat is reacting. I
think that's a legitimate question, but my sources tell me that they didn't change anything on the boat. They just strengthened it where it was weak. Again, I think as the guy who was a driver himself, sometimes you just get out of rhythm, and when you get out of rhythm, you start trying harder, and when you try harder, it gets worse. Much like practicing an instrument, at some point you've got to just let go, let your training and your experience take over. And right now, I think J. Michael Kelly's got to get his head straight.
Maybe we can take a look at that start, Chip, and see exactly what as we called it as they came across the line. Here's a replay of our start.
What you said, Mark, when he leapfrogged, by getting out in front, look how far in front he is of everybody else. So the leapfrogging to get the inside lane worked, but look at the price he paid to get that inside lane. He got up there so early, and at some point...
We'll have a real good look at it here, too.
There's just nowhere to go. You can't slow the boat down that much.
So they're still at 4, and obviously we're doing this in slow motion, and here comes Jimmy King.
Look at the momentum. Yep, he's well over. And Jimmy hit it perfect.
Yeah, Jimmy was right on, it looked like at least. Jimmy was right on the line at the zeros when the clock turned 0. So that's exactly what you want to do. That's where you want to be. And Jimmy pushed him pretty hard through those first couple of laps.
He really did. And we talked earlier in the day, Mark, about judging the drivers. But let's go down to the pits and hear from the winner.
Is our U-Pullet Auto Parts pit cam, our SWX reporter, Matt Funk. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm here with Jimmy King, winner of 4A. Hey, you pulled one out there. It looked really fast.
Yeah. No. We're gaining up on it little by little. It was a good run for the U3 Ace Hardware. And, we got one more to go. That's the one that counts, and we'll see where it goes to.
Got a little help from J. Michael there.
Well, yeah. You got to play by the rules to get it done, right? So.
Yeah.
All right.
How do you feel about the final?
Well, we feel pretty good. If we can find our way to the inside, we'll give them more than they can handle. But we got to see what happens.
Always a big fan favorite to have the U3 here in the Piston Power.
Yeah, we're real happy to be here. One of our favorite race courses. We just love coming here between the race course itself and mostly the fans. There's no better place to race unlimited hydroplanes.
How long you guys they think you can keep the piston-powered boat coming?
As long as they can keep the turbine boats coming, we've got enough parts to run the piston boat. Get a little thin this weekend, but as long as Mr. Cooper and the Ace Hardware family, keep together, you never know how long it's going to last.
Sounds good. Thanks for your time, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mark and Chip?
Well, Jimmy's a happy guy and seems to want to keep on trucking.
What I'm seeing here is a trend. Drivers that we expect to be the real masters, the Jimmy Shanes, the J. Michael Kelly, they've struggled. Jimmy Shane didn't jump, and he was really late and on the outside. But look at Tommy Thompson. He's driven perfectly. Jimmy King's driven perfectly. So this has really been an interesting weekend, which means we're going to have a really interesting final.
Let's take a look at the results from Heat 4A. Miss Home Street didn't do it. Second place. First place to Jimmy King in the U3. Griggs presents Miss Ace Hardware. J. Michael Kelly with a third place. Jumping the gun, that's never a good thing. And unfortunately for Dustin Eccles, the 440, the bucket list racing, is out for the rest of the weekend. So that's how they finished, unofficially at least, in Heat 4A. Let's take a break. We'll come back with Heat 4B. This SWX broadcast is brought to you by Coldwell Banker Tomlinson, Associated